So those of you who don't know me, my name is Reverend Lulu. Those of you who knew me when I was here, you called me Linda. Linda. And there's a story behind the Lulu, but it's not important. It's a boring story. I want to tell you before I even get started that coming here is very meaningful to me. This is where I began, not just as a prayer chaplain, but then from there I went on to ministerial school. And I graduated and got ordained with Reverend, what's your name again? Reverend Harold, and Reverend Kathy Beasley, and Reverend Val Parson. We all, the four of us, came through here and became ordained ministers together. Isn't that cool? It's very cool. And this was my Unity beginning. A lot of you, I know, grew up in kindergarten and junior high and college coming to Unity churches, but I did not. I was out there trying everything else. So I'm very grateful. The music here just brought me home. And I'm grateful for the musicians who have left. Bye, musicians. But they'll be back. The music here is beyond compare. And so I really, really am so happy to be here. Can you tell? Yes. I want everybody to look down at their feet. Do you have snow on your feet? Because I feel like I do. I feel like I'm standing in an ice cube. So let me begin with what we're going to talk about today. And I always get my messages, my ideas for messages, either in the shower or outside. I'm an outside girl. I love being outside. So I was sitting down by the lake near my home as I was thinking about what am I going to talk about to you guys today. And there was a man out there fly fishing. You know, that looks so stupid. So he just kept doing this bit, in and out, and in and out, and in and out, like 30 times, in and out. And then he'd stand there for 3 or 4 minutes, and then he'd do it again. And I was like, that's like a lot of work on your shoulder, right? And then it came to me, because that's how things come to me, that's how I used to pray. I used to throw all my prayers out there again and again and again, and then I'd sit there and wait, like that fisherman. Waited for an answer, waited for a nudge, waited for a something. So my experience has taught me that all that casting is not necessary. And in fact, it's detrimental to what I want, because what I really want is peace. Don't you guys want peace? Right? And so while I was sitting in that chair, I realized I was sitting right next to my sister, a giant oak tree, who was not affected by the storm that it wrecked my yard. I had oak trees down. I'm sure some of you did too. And she sat there, so silent and quiet and serene, urging me to do the same. And so this talk manifested solidly from my time at the lake. So I'm going to start with a parable. You guys know parables or little stories are so great, and you may have heard this before, but that's okay. We can always hear it again, right? So there was a traveler, it's a parable of a traveler, who was going from town to town looking to where he might be able to find his fortune. And so as he was walking along, coming up to a town, he bumped into a wise man. I've decided that the wise man was a monk. I don't know if he was or not. And he asked this wise man, "Is this town nice? Is this a good town to stop into and pass by and see if I can build my fortune here?" And the wise man said, "Well, tell me about the town you just left." And the traveler said, "Those people were so ugly, and they were mean, and they were unkind, and they spoke to me rudely. And they didn't even offer me a meal or a place to rest that night." And the wise man said, "Then you better keep on going on, because that's what you're going to find here." And then pretty soon another traveler came along and asked the wise man the same thing, and the wise man asked him, "So how are the people in the town you just left? And the traveler said, they were wonderful. They were kind-hearted, generous. They offered me a meal and a place to rest for the night. And the wise men said, then welcome, because that's what you'll find here. And isn't that true? We find what we expect that we're going to find. And many spiritual teachers have taught us that what you think about, you bring about, right? It's what you get. And here's a short list of some of those teachers. Earl Nightingale. He said, you become what you think about. Your world is a living expression of how you're using your mind. Neville Goddard. Is anybody familiar with him? He was like way back. But let me tell you, he was one of the first people that understood that what we think about, we bring about. And Wayne Dyer learned from him. He based all his teachings on him. And the lady who wrote, I suddenly forgot her name, who was in charge of the movie The Secret. Thank you, Rhonda Byrne. She based all her teachings on what Neville Goddard taught. And of course, the Buddha said, what you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. And what you imagine, you create. Oprah Winfrey, help me. Oprah says, with every experience, you alone are painting your canvas, thought by thought, choice by choice. And we know that. We can see her life and see that that's how she has conducted her life. Walt Disney said all our dreams can come true. You have to have the courage to pursue them. Socrates believed that the power of our thinking is paramount to living a good life, emphasizing that the unexamined life is not worth living, meaning we must actively question and critically analyze our beliefs to achieve true knowledge and virtue. He essentially said, and I think this is so important, that our thoughts and the way we think directly shape our actions and our understanding of the world around us. Winston Churchill said, never give in, never, never, never. And you know who else said that? Are you guys familiar with Diane Nyad? She's the lady who swam from Cuba to Florida. It took her 5 tries to make that happen, and she crawled out of that water, chewed up by jellyfish stings, and she crawled out, and the first thing she said is, never, ever, ever give up, right? Is that how you live your life? Is that how you want to live your life? Never, ever, ever give up. Abraham Lincoln said, always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other one thing. Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, is considered to be the modern father of the law of attraction. Norman Vincent Peale, you can make yourself sick with your thoughts, or what? You can make yourself well. And I know that to be true in my own life. I know I can think myself sick and I can think myself well. Wayne Dyer said, if you believe it will work out, you'll see opportunities. If you believe it won't, you will see obstacles. Goethe said, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. And Charles Fillmore, do you guys know who he is? In The Revealing Word, he says this about our thoughts. The food of the thinking faculty are ideas symbolized in the Gospels as fish. You alone decide where the net will be cast. And if you remember, when Jesus was gathering together his disciples, and that day they were all out and had fished all night long and didn't catch one fish. And he came up to them from the shore, he said, hey guys, throw your net on the other side. And they were like, Rabbi, we've been doing this all night. We've been on both sides. He's like, just take my word for it. Throw your net on the other side. And they pulled in so many fish it almost capsized their boat. We have to be willing to try different things. Jesus always emphasized the importance of changing one's thinking. The scripture that predominantly emphasizes the power of our thinking is Romans 12:2, which states, you guys know this, do not be conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind. that by testing you may discern what is the will of God. Key points about this verse: transformation through mind renewal. So, yeah, you're in church this morning and you're listening to me maybe. And could be when you leave, you instantly forget everything. Because that's what we do. We humans have built-in forgetters. And we just walk out and forget everything. But I'm asking you to remember that one verse. By the renewal of our mind. And who renews our mind? We renew our mind. The verse directly states that to change your life, you need to actively change your thought patterns. And that's precisely what we're talking about today. 2 Corinthians 9:6 says, remember this, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. We usually refer to this verse, when we're talking about prosperity, and this is true, and this is right, but it also refers to sowing good seeds in our inner being, in our thoughts. So we sometimes write down our intentions as taught by Catherine Ponder. Have any of you studied Catherine Ponder? Yeah, I mean, if you haven't, do it. She has about a dozen books out. Every single one of them will change your life. She has tons of affirmations. She teaches how to use affirmations in your life. Or we might say, I'm putting my dreams out there. Or someone might hear us speaking negatively and say, hey, don't put that out there. The universe is listening. But the problem with that thinking is it still has an element of duality, doesn't it? There is no out there. All the out there is where? In here. So we don't have to worry about putting stuff out there. There is no out there. There's only one of us. There's not two of us. We are one. We are one with source energy. Jesus said, I and the Father are... I and the Father are... One. That's right. I and the Father are one. That means I and you and the Father, the creator of the universe, are one. How powerful does that feel? Pretty good, eh? You guys don't... Wake up. Pretty good, right? All right. Now, this is not now, and nor has it ever been, and nor will it ever be, an intellectual understanding. This is a spiritual understanding that can only be heard with our spiritual ears. Some of us, our spiritual ears are clogged up with a lot of nasty wax. We have to clean out those ears. So here's the thing. We're getting to the thing. We have no need to put anything out into the universe because the universe exists inside of each of us. The spirit that lives and breathes and dreams with each one of us is our true self, our holy self, our divine self, our Christ self. Not out there in the ethers somewhere. We have no need to speak of something happening to us because each of us are life happening right now in this moment. And this moment, right? And this moment. Life is happening through us, not to us, all the way until eternity. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, tells us this in the Revealing Word about Christ. Actually, he has a whole lot to say about Christ. Do any of you have a copy of the Revealing Word? Raise your hand. A couple of you will get the Revealing Word and look up Christ, and it's like 5 pages of the Christ. I'll condense it for you, real short and sweet. Number 1, Christ is the divine man. Jesus is the name of the individual that represents the expression of the Christ man. In other words, Christ was not Jesus' last name. You guys know that, right? His name was not Jesus, and they didn't have last names. He was Jesus, son of Joseph, right? So just like Lulu is the individual expression of the Christ idea, I can assume the name Lulu Christ. And Harold is Harold Christ. And Melissa is Melissa Christ. And it sounds weird coming out of my mouth, doesn't it? Sounds heretical. But it's not, because that's the truth. Okay, number 2. Christ in you, the true light which guides every man coming into the world, is and ever has been in man. This is Christ in you, the hope of glory. Say that out loud with me. Christ in me, the hope of glory. Say it. Christ in me, the hope of glory. Doesn't that just feel good? The Christ light is in each of us, and it offers us glorious opportunities if we but access it. Number 3, we are joint heirs with Christ to all that the Father has. And what does the Father have? I'm sorry? Everything. Exactly. Christ. I'm just going to get you guys awake. So Christ's inheritance is the whole universe, and that is in essence existence. And so as brothers and sisters of Jesus the Christ, we too are heirs of that creative intelligence. But as soon as we get up and walk out the door and get in our cars, we will have forgotten that. Because we have built in what? Forgetters. So, of course, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore got it. I don't know if all those other people lived from the I am. All those people we just mentioned earlier, they must have gotten at least part of it, or they wouldn't have achieved the success that they did. But our true self, our North Star, the God that we seek, is within us. They were able to discern with their spiritual ears, Charles and Myrtle. This is what I have sought and continue to seek every day, a heightened awareness of the Christ within me, my true self, my holy self, my sacred self, my divine self, my Christ self. And it's not automatic. I don't wake up aware of that. I have to bring myself to that through prayer and meditation, right? And this is what hopefully you're fishing for this morning as well. But every day and every moment, we have to realize our inner divinity. Right? I'm going to try that again. Right? Thank you. We don't have to look very far. Some of us have spent long years searching for a bigger God, one who'd answer all our prayers. Perhaps your soul is weary and destitute from all this searching. I hope you'll listen, because the truth lies within you. It's not out there. It's here. It's not in the many teachers we've listened to or the books we have read. Those are helpful and very useful guides. But the true teacher lies where? Touch it. Within. Exactly. So what does all this mean? How do we access this inner teacher, this inner truth? We become still. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Right? Be still and know that I am God. So I want you to, this is not our full meditation, this is just a little tiny piece. So sit still and quiet and close your eyes for just a minute. Relax your brain. Take in the significance of those words. Be still and know that I am God. Quietly to yourself, not out loud, say, be still and know that I am God. Next, be still and know that I am. Quietly to yourself, be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Quietly to yourself, be still and know that I. Be still and know. Quietly to yourself, be still and know. Be still. quietly to yourself. Be still. And finally, be. Just sit there with that. Be. Okay, you can open your eyes and come back to me. So listen, that I am of you, that part of you who is and knows, who knows all things, yes, that I am part of you is your divine part. It is the transcendent part of you that is eternal. It answers all your questions and brings forth the fish that you seek. This I am is your real teacher, your divine self. It's not me standing up here in front of you, except that perhaps I'm planting a few seeds. I'm a gardener and a waterer. The true teacher is within you. Try to imagine the I who is speaking as you listen to my voice as being your higher or divine self, addressing and counseling your human mind. When you're dreaming and fishing for tiny lights of direction, the ideas that arise for you are coming from the I am of you, the truth of you, the God of you. Because you and I, the I am, is source energy, the creative intelligence of the universe. You and the creative intelligence of the universe are one. And Jesus is our teacher and our way shower, and so it was with him. So that long, though partial list of individuals we spoke about a few minutes ago, they knew and understand the truth of this, at least at some level. Our understanding hopefully goes deeper. Once we understand that the I am is the God of us, the God within us, the voice that brings creative ideas, prosperity, and health to us, then we no longer have to beat our heads against the wall or bruise and make bloody our knees. We can also add our new thought teachers to that list because they absolutely got it, right? Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, Eric Butterworth, Catherine Ponder, Emily Cady, Ernest Holmes, Florence Scoville Shin, Imelda Octavia Shanklin, Emmett Fox. If you have not studied these people, I urge you to get some books and study them. They are not the I am, but they can crack open doorways for you. So, my beloved friends, we've been on a fishing expedition this morning. My hope is that you have shifted your fishing spot, your fishing hole, so to speak, from pulling in the usual haul and have traveled deeper, to deeper waters, confident that what you seek is in the deep well within you. It's in the I am of you. Amen and namaste.